Welcome back to my YouTube channel, English and Literature with Carol. If you have not subscribe to this channel. You'll continue learning. Now, I told you that you don't read a poem, you recite a poem. And I would like you to see and listen to me as I'm going to recite a freedom song by Marjorie Oluthe McGowan. She has written this wonderful piece. Please pay attention to it. Atieno washes dishes. Atieno plucks the chicken. Atieno gets up early, beds her sacks in the kitchen. Atieno 8 years old. Atieno you. Since she's my sister's child, Atieno needs no pay. While she works, my wife can sit sewing every sunny day. With her earnings, I support Atieno you. Atieno is sly and jealous. Bad example to the kids since she minds them like a schoolgirl wants their dresses, shoes, and beads. Atieno 10 years old. Atieno you. Now my wife has gone to study. Atieno is less free. Don't I keep her, school my own ones, pay the party union fee, all for progress? Aren't you grateful? Atieno yo. Visitors need much attention. All the more I work when I work nights. That girl spends too long at the market. Who will teach her what is right? Atieno rising 14. Atieno yo. Atieno's had a baby, so we know she's bad. 50-50, it may live and repeat the life she's had, ending in postpartum bleeding. Atieno yo. Atieno is soon replaced. Meat and sugar, more than all she ate in such a narrow life, were lavished at her funeral. Atieno has gone to glory. Atieno yo. Did you realize that I recited the poem? There's a difference between recitation and reading. Make sure when you receive your poem, like I have done, you recite your poem. Recite the poem. Try to think about this message that the persona is passing. And we said there's a difference. A persona is the voice in the poem. The writer of the poem, A Freedom Song, is Marjorie Oluthe McGowan, while the persona could be, did you guess? The persona could be Atieno's uncle. Atieno's uncle could be the persona. Why did we say that? Did you hear when we said, since she's my sister's child, Atieno needs no pay. He is justifying. This is an is. So the persona is the uncle to Atieno. If you were to look into that poem, remember we are doing critical reading of the poem. As we prepare for either paper 1 or raw skills, I can ask you, how did I perform? How should you perform the poem? How should you perform the first line? Atieno washes dishes. How would you say that? Which is my tone? You want to convince your audience that you're starting. So be loud. Use falling intonation. Did you hear the comma? Atieno washes dishes. Because there is a pause there. You pause. That is recitation. Did you notice when I read the second last stanza of this poem, I didn't pause, although there is an end of a line where I say, Atieno's had a baby. There's no pause there. We call that enjambment, where I will not pause because of the run-on lines. Atieno's had a baby, so we know that she is bad. Atieno's had a baby, so we know that she is bad. I didn't pause because there was no such a punctuation mark. So in poetry, remember, it is condensed piece of writing. The whole message has been passed. What is the meaning of this poem? A freedom song. Did you find any freedom in Atieno's tribulations? Of course, you cannot find any freedom. So the title of the poem could be ironic. When you're looking at titles of poems, ensure that you know what is the meaning. How has the writer, how has the poet used that title? We could say that a freedom song is not really expressing freedom because the persona talks of making sure that a young girl who is 8 years old, Atieno, does all the household chores. What does Atieno do? She, what does she do? Did you listen at my first stanza? Atieno washes dishes. Atieno plucks the chicken. Atieno gets up early, beds her sack down in the kitchen. A young girl who has been doing all the household chores. Yet the persona justifies himself and says, since she's my sister's child, Atieno needs no pay. So we see in poetry, if you want to get the message of that poem, go line by line, stanza by stanza, go and treat that message as a full, as a whole. You will get the message that is being passed. Remember, at the beginning of the stanza, we learn that Atieno has been working. By the end of the stanza, we learn that poor Atieno has passed on. Why did she pass on? Because of postpartum bleeding. Remember, I'm not giving this information from my own creation. I'm using the example of that poem to tell you what this poem is talking about. The poems are quite subjective. You just have to read the poem over and over again for you to get the theme, the main idea. What is this persona saying? Make sure that you read it from the beginning to the end. Recite the poem. Involve emotions in it. You can even try to put yourself in the shoes of Atieno. And also try to put yourself in the shoes of, especially the persona who is saying, Atieno is sly and jealous. How did you do that? You frown, just like the persona will. Bad example to the kids, since she minds them like a schoolgirl wants their dresses and beads. The persona is not pleased that Atieno wants these things, although he wants to justify himself. So you as a reader, remember you have prepared yourself to look into themes, subject matter, what this poem is talking about, you know that a theme will be defined using certain nouns. You use nouns to define a theme. For example, you can say child abuse. Why did we conclude that there is child abuse in this poem? Because this is a young girl that has been participating in the household chores and she's being molested by her uncle who should have taken her to school. Interpret the whole of the poem and you will understand it better and better. Now, let me touch on style. Did you realize that the author or the poet is very tactical when she comes to picking certain lines? That is called style. Did you realize some use of repetition? Repetition is a stylistic device that has been used in the poem A Freedom Song. Did you realize at the beginning, Atieno washes dishes, Atieno plucks the chicken, Atieno gets up early? Did you realize I said Atieno 3 times? That is use of repetition. The poet has used a style called repetition to pass the message. Did you realize that apart from repetition, there is also sound patterns, use of sound patterns in that poem? We have in stanza 2, sewing every sunny day. Did you hear? Sewing every sunny day. The sound has been alliterated. So there is use of alliteration as a sound pattern, as a style. The author or a poet in literature can pass a message in a certain way, a way that he feels comfortable. Apart from repetition and alliteration, we also have assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds at a close range. For example, in stanza 2, the persona says, since she's my sister's child, since she is my sister's child, E, since she is my sister's child, so there is assonance in that line. So the E sound there. The writer, the persona, the poet. The poet pays a lot of attention to the way they present their work. So, as the persona, that voice, when you're using that voice, pay attention to what the writer was doing. Do not ignore, because there is a way that message was supposed to be passed. Now, those are the oral skills that we've been talking about. That is the recitation of poetry. Make sure you do plenty of practice, do a lot of practice. I would encourage you to use a lot of your time in recitation of poems, use emotions. You don't need your audience. You can even do it by yourself. Make sure that you perfect the skill of recitation and presentation and performance. This paper, this question can be tested in paper 1, English KCSE, that is question 2, oral skills, or it can also be tested in KCSE paper 2, question 3. So pay a lot of attention to those details. That I told you of also the attitude. When the uncle is saying, since she's my sister's child, that means he's contemptuous of this girl that has been working here. So make sure that you know where to apply certain mood, tone, attitude. For more videos, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification button. Let's keep learning. Thank you for being my audience. I'll see you later. Bye.